Welcome to another Gen 4 video from BigJimny. Just recently I've been working on my Gen 3, doing some upgrades to that. That'll be in a separate video. And anyway, the work on it got me thinking about modifications and modifications that have gone on to the Gen 4. The Gen 4 must be one of the most modified vehicles off the forecourt in recent history, certainly. An awful lot of people I know who are getting them are immediately doing some form of modification to them. Sometimes it's just simple ones like on here, new set of tyres and that, but other times people are starting to go really all out on the modifications. Certainly if you look on my BigJimny forum you can see that. People are putting on roof rack systems and LED lighting systems. They're putting on front bumpers. Now all of these start to add weight to the car. The biggest selling point of a Jimny off-road is how light it is, and the first thing people are doing is adding weight. So you know, probably 15 kilograms for a roof rack system, again, you know, 20, 25, maybe even 30 kilograms for a fully blown steel front bumper system, and even more if you add on a winch battery, separate battery tray, that kind of thing. Rock sliders, big hefty rock sliders along the sides, all adding weight. And when they got a roof rack, then they want a ladder on the back, they want a roof tent on the roof, and then drawer systems inside. Of course drawer systems can be lightweight aluminium boxes and that, but then people put gear in them. So everything is adding weight on top of everything else in the Jimny, and very quickly you're getting up to the maximum load weight of the car. This means it's actually possible with some passengers and that to even exceed the load weighting on the car, and parts of the car are designed only for the load weighting off the drawing board, and therefore you now start seeing people complaining about lack of power. The number of times I've already been asked, oh, what engine upgrades or what power upgrades are there for the K15 engine in these cars? Well, there are very few. Yes, you can start seeing some people coming around with supposed ECU bypass mods and that kind of thing. They're starting to appear, and there's at least one company, I think in Australia, who are starting to fit turbochargers and superchargers to them. However, you know, that's one aspect of increasing the power. The other is people are modifying them with new gear sets in the transfer box. That's the one I think is probably the better way to go, and would be the way to go if I had a choice. Change the gearing on them, and that to try and recover some of the lost power within the system, so to speak. But when you've done all that, there is one other area that people aren't considering at the moment, and that is how to stop the car. The problem with increasing the weight is that you're increasing the kinetic energy, the momentum that you have in the car, the weight. So once you've got it up to speed, then getting rid of that speed is more difficult. Okay, the brakes are designed for a lighter car and can't necessarily cope. On the old Gen 3s, very famously, they suffer death wobble, which is usually the kingpin bearings and so on, but can be warped discs, where the discs have started to literally bend and warp, possibly due to overheating and that kind of thing. So this is probably part of the future of the Gen 4. People are going to have problems with braking. Putting big tyres on. These aren't particularly big tyres. These are 215/70 15s. So they're pretty much close to normal size. But you can see they've got extra tread on the top. And if you go back to your school physics or school maths, you have the good old function of levers and mass at a distance. So the more mass that you have away from the distance, the greater the sort of momentum and energy in that system, the lever effect of the system. So stopping a wheel that's rotating with more mass is more difficult. Next thing people do is go to 16-inch rims, so that's immediately moved the mass 1 inch further away from the centre. The good old foot-pounds or Newton meters, all got weight, mass and distance in the equation. You've moved it further away, and then you add on a big chunky tyre. This one's got nearly 33-inch tyres on 16-inch rims, and it takes one hell of a lot of pushing on the brakes to make them stop. So with all of that, this car in the future I reckon will become quite hard on the brakes, quite difficult to stop with all the modifications. So thinking about that, thinking about what I've been doing here, I thought of what brake modifications can you do to the Gen 4 in order to improve the braking. So let's have a look. And so, with a bit of magical jiggery pokery, here is what I have done. Yes, probably the first that you've seen in the world. I haven't seen anyone else do this. A Gen 4 Jimny fitted with vented disc brakes. So, why do this? Number one, here is the new calipers that go with them. This is about 12% bigger in surface area of the piston than a standard Jimny piston. So you get the extra push of the back of the piston, as I say, 12% extra area on that. The pads themselves, I've measured these and they're about 10% bigger. So you've got the extra pad contact area with the disc itself. So extra size piston, extra size pad area. And of course you've got the vented cooling here. Now the area of the disc isn't really changed, all you've done is put a gap in the middle. But of course this is going to enable the disc to cool better and therefore to hopefully get rid of the warping effect. So vented discs, they do fit straight onto a Gen 4 Jimny. These parts are all Suzuki parts off of various models of Suzuki, mainly European ones, I must be honest with you, fitted to the Jimny, so they all just fit straight in as standard. Obviously the downside of changing anything like this is it would invalidate your warranty, because I know that despite claiming that these are Suzuki parts, you're unlikely to get any joy from your average Suzuki dealer with any problems with them. But you know, they should help improve the braking on the front of these when it's heavier. All these parts now are available in the BigJimny store, both for the Gen 3 and the Gen 4. Both variants of the Gen 3 disc size are available, as is the disc size for a Gen 4. Now, the observant among you will have noticed that it's not actually connected. That's because we don't at the moment have a need for these on Gerald the Jimny, James's Jimny, because the wheels are all pretty standard. There's not a great deal of added weight. We've not got any problems. The brakes are beautiful on this one, but I've just fitted them to show it can be done. I know there are people out there who are adding weight left, right and centre to their Jimnys, or thinking of even doing sort of fairly competitive stuff. And of course, once you go to vented discs, again, you've got you get round any problems of, or we don't get round it, you reduce the problems of brakes overheating. So I will be restoring this straight back. The other thing I haven't done, because I haven't connected it up, is I don't know how it works with the electronic, the e-diff solution, you know, where the brakes are switching on and off to stop, to give you hill descent control. However, that is controlled by the ABS, the anti-lock braking system, and these are fitted to cars, to Jimnys and other cars with anti-lock brakes. Therefore, I don't anticipate that these calipers will in any way affect the stability or anti-lock braking, but I can't say. This is a UK specification SZ5. Your local country specifications may differ, but I don't think it would affect it. There are some minor concerns around whether the servo has enough oomph to to push the extra piston space, but then on the Gen 3 behind me I've got discs all round, and the servo has no problem with providing the power for those. So again, I don't anticipate it. You'd obviously try it at your own risk, but my own view is the risk is minimal. It is a complete Suzuki setup. These parts have come off various versions of Jimny and Vitara that have both got ABS, so you know, we know they work on very similar systems. So here it is, first view in the world, I think, of a Jimny fitted with Jimny Gen 4 fitted with vented disc brakes. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like it or subscribe it, I'd be very grateful, and keep looking out for more videos in the future, including actually fitting these to the Gen 3 that's sitting behind me now, ready for its MOT and hopefully vastly improved braking, because the braking on the Gen 3 is truly awful. Thank you very much for listening.